How about LSL stud framing where our cabinet walls are? Yes, it's not LVL, it's not OSB. So get the OSB out of your mind. Laminated strand lumber. It's just like a timber strand beam. Yes, very strong, very durable. You cannot pull them out. These are made by Tolko there, and they are perfectly straight. And they do not warp, twist, any of the above. They stay straight. LSL framed walls. All right, so got a bunch of plastic pipe in the wall. Anybody want to venture a guess on that detail? I might be able to give you a little hint. It's at that doorway. And if we come over here, notice it's at that doorway. Yeah, so I'm sure this is a test piece. So if we pull that out, what happens is we have all of those holes. There is a doggy gate that comes up and it'll get pulled all the way across. So the homeowners can leave in the morning and they can restrict the dogs to the mudroom and the front entryway and keep them out of the main part of the house. So it's like a pocket doggy grate over there and over there. All right, so I already talked about the Sega detail once, but here I'm going to talk about the 2x4 furring on the underside. So it does a couple of things. One, it helps reinforce the Myrex so that when you insulate on top of it, it helps support that. So the support is not limited to just the stapled up Myrex. The 2x4s are actually shot into. The second thing it does is all of our truss system is on a 24-inch center. By going to this, I can move now to a 16-inch on center, or in some houses where we've put in excess of 28 inches of insulation in the ceiling, we might even move to a 12-inch center. So that is our air barrier. And lastly, the 1.5 inch gives us a place now to run wires and some LED recessed lights. So there you have it, 2x4 furring underneath our air barrier inside the conditioned space, and the Myrex is providing air barrier continuity. Steel moment frame. Yeah, you can see the steel column, beam, column. Why? Well, when we have a large opening like this, the homeowner, can we make that 2 foot bigger? Can we make it a foot bigger? And then we finally got to a point where I said, it's probably about as big as we can make it. And but we lose the ability to be shear resistant in that wall because we just don't have enough space on the side with such a large door. So we have to move into putting a very rigid steel frame. And the way you can tell, I don't know if you'll be able to see it here, but I've talked about it before. You can see on top, there's a welded plate and then there's this bracing plate underneath there. So it's not a steel header, even though certainly could be, but it's designed to be a shear resistant moment frame. So there you have it, steel moment frame. Here's a nice detail. This is one that's very similar to like what's happening in the garage, right? This is second floor exterior wall there. So the sheathing gets brought all the way down and sealed to the LVL, and then you can see our air barrier gets sealed to that. But that's how we provide continuity on that second floor system. So just like the garage walls, this wall was all sheathed and then the truss was pushed up against the Zip R system. So great detail, great execution. Well, we just talk a little bit about the Zip R6. So that is 1 inch of polyisocyanurate. So that adds 1 inch of insulation in a continuous fashion across the wall. So what that means is where I have all of these studs, that is basically, I think it's like 5.86 or something, the R value of a 2x6 spruce pine fir stud, but let's just call it 5.5 because I like to do easy math. Well, adding R6 doubles the R value there, as well as this R21 that we'll put in here is now R27 across. And lastly, this surface, not being OSB or plywood, is now the inside of insulation. You can see it there. And that means that the surface temperature of my first condensing surface is now elevated. And remember, condensation is a game of a degree or two. So if I can elevate that a few degrees, then I take the risk of condensation in my walls pretty much out of the picture. So zip R6 sheathing. All right, so curbless shower. Notice we don't go down a couple inches, we just frame in between the joists with our subfloor here to drop that. So you can see there it is dropped the 3/4 of an inch, and that is more than enough for us to put a sloped shower pan in to that drain in the shower. So curbless recessed shower. All right, we are in the shower of the owner's suite, and notice again, because we have some larger format tile, we have our LSL 2x6 stud work there, as well as we have our dropped floor, but we'll talk about that in another detail actually. So LSL 2x6 stud framing in our shower walls.